Hello, everybody, and welcome to ProblemSolvHer podcast. I'm your co-host, Chloe, along with my girl,
Dagmar.
Dagny's in the house. Chloe's in the house. Welcome to a fun, cool, innovative podcast where people share their stories and anything and everything that has happened to them along the way. And it's just a safe space to feel good and awesome. And I love our topic today, Daggy.
I love it too for many different reasons. It's forgiveness and relationships. And I'm very curious about what you think about it.
Okay, so we're going right to me. Well, thank you, dear. So, obviously, there are so many different types of relationships that we have in our lives, right? Whether it's friends, family, work, and forgiveness in those areas are different for many reasons, right? So, for family, for instance, I give a pass to, you know, most family members because we're blood related and I'm with you, you know, for the rest of my life. So, forgiveness for family always comes first because, you have to dig really deep and just say, listen, this is a blood relative, whether it's your parents, it's a sibling, it's cousins, it's an uncle, it's an aunt. So forgiveness for me and family is different than forgiveness with friends and maybe say coworkers and in personal relationships with, people that you've been in long-term relationships with, whether it's a boyfriend, a husband, and those I find are the most difficult because when they do it, whether it's someone lied to you, they cheated on you, they weren't forthcoming with information, that's the hardest for me personally to forgive. And I know that the Kabbalah talks about this and the power of now, and it's all about forgiveness is good for yourself, also for self-reflection and to release those toxins and those energies from your body so you don't hold them in. So what I try to do is, and what I've done over the past several years is I can forgive, but I won't necessarily forget, meaning that it's still there, but I've chosen to forgive you so that I can move on to the next portion of this relationship, whether it's, like I said, someone I've dated or a family member or a coworker, especially let's say it's someone you're going to be working with for the next 3 to 5 years and you have to, see that person every single day in the office, you have to find a way to forgive, but not necessarily forget. So I don't know if any of that rings true for you, but those are kind of my initial thoughts on it.
That's what you describe as how I've felt in the past. And lately, for me, if it's my father, if it's my friend, if it's the world, humanity, somebody is driving in front of me and is driving reckless, I figured out for myself, and things work different for everybody. That's
Of
about
course.
energy.
Mm,
Am I emotionally connected to the person, to the situation, to the belief, to the ethics? Then it affects me. But a lot of times it affects me. It doesn't affect the other person if they are not emotionally connected to me. Like the driver in front of me who drives reckless, he doesn't care if I'm upset or not. Unlike with my father, he did the best he could with the tools he had at the point in the situation. And forgiving him, but not forgetting it, is still holding my energy. So at this point in my life, I want to use my energy consciously for things that bring me forward and let me grow. And a lot of times, forgiveness in the past was about winning or losing. I'm right and you're wrong. And I don't like that anymore because it focuses the energy on something external. And I want to focus my energy internal because I want to stay happy and calm and present. And for me, I figured out if I consciously catch me when I start having these emotions and then make conscious decisions, what do I want? I'm shifting from forgiving somebody to what do I need in this moment to make me feel good that I can move forward.
I agree with everything you just said. That totally resonates. Two things that stuck out for me was one, and it's true, like forgiveness to the world. We do live in a crazy world. We don't talk politics and religion on here, so I'll tread lightly on this. But the world is in turmoil for many different reasons, and we have to forgive, you know, the universe sometimes for certain things, and we don't know why they happen. So I like that. And when you mention your father, I feel like as humans, it doesn't matter how old you are, your parents are always, we want to impress them no matter what. It's just like innately in us. We want them to be proud of us. We want them to say, my kid is the best. And we really want them to just be happy about who we are in general. And it's interesting that parents don't realize that although they are the parents, and what do you know? I've been around on this earth so many more years than you. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that one. It is true. But once you get to a certain age, 35, 40, and you get in your 40s, you can kind of say to your parents, well, look what I've already done so far in my life. And I think I know a few things now. And we, at a certain point, don't know as much as they do, again, because we're just going by math because they've been around longer than we have. Just like I tell my younger cousin all the time, Chloe, I know everything. I'm like, no, you are 23. You know nothing. I know way more than you just because I'm older than you, have been on this planet longer. But I've come to a realization that no matter what our parents do, as long as it's within healthy boundaries, we really just have to forgive them, and we have to be able to just move on. And last night we had family dinner, and between May and June, there's just so much going on with my family. It's my birthday, it's Mother's Day, it's both my parents' birthdays, it's your birthday. And then it's my parents' anniversary, which just passed a few days ago. So there's just always something going on. So we had some champagne and we had a family dinner for my parents' anniversary. And my dad gets sentimental sometimes. And he said, I want to say that, you know, because we're all so close, we can get into arguments easily. I had friends growing up where I would go to their house for dinner and no one would talk. It would be like, just eat your dinner. And I'd be like, no one's saying anything here. No one would discuss anything. And I was at my friend's house one time and I said, what was that? She's like, my parents were mad at each other. I'm like, then why did you guys even have me over for dinner? It was so awkward. There was 8 of us because there was a lot of kids in our family. And we all just sat there and had dinner. If you were at my house, we'd be discussing it in front of everyone and be like, but my friends are over. That's okay. They can listen to this too. Everyone should hear this kind of thing and communicate and talk and say how you feel. So my dad was saying last night, it's so great that if the 4 of us come together, we're so much better together, stronger than we are apart. And it's so true. And part of that was just forgiveness, whatever's happened in the past, and, let things go, whether they're big or small. And so I think it's appropriate in regards to the topic today to mention.
And made me think about forgiveness and generational trauma. Like, I think when you come from a country where you have generations and generations and generations living in the same area forever and adapting the same personality and the same behavior from the generation before, you easily and automatically slip into this path. And seeing my parents and my middle sister slipping into that, the bitterness, the anger, the self-pityness, and stopping yourself not to go into this path, but making yourself think about how do you want to be and what's your choice in life and where do you want to go, helps to be able not to forgive a person, but to understand how this was developed and created and that it had a purpose at the time. But then subconsciously it went from generation to generation and it became the norm, not just a survival effect. And changing that and taking your energy from allowing things to happen to consciously choosing is part of forgiveness too.
1000%. That was beautiful. And so well said. Self-awareness is a huge part of forgiveness because we have to be aware. And like you said, playing the victim, it never really works for anyone. It's not constructive. It's not conducive. Everyone plays a role in what happens in their lives for the most part. And our environments, like you said, have a huge part. I mean, we're products of our environments, how we grew up, where we grew up, who we grew up with. That's why they do all these studies of the longest life expectancies and where they're from And what culminates that? Community, families living together, friends, everyone is in this community together. The Japanese, the Italians. So for in terms of what you said, the awareness part is so massive. We have to be consciously aware of the actions that are taking place, how we play a role in it, and then step back and say, okay, I have to forgive this person, but how did I play a role in this? Did I even play a role in this? We don't always play a role in how we have to forgive somebody. Sometimes people have other things that are going on around them and they take those out on the ones they love the most, or they lash out on you, or they say something that is incomprehensible. And it's like, I can't ever forgive. Nope, that one statement, that's it, I'm done. I can't ever. And then, we take a step back. I'm very quick to react. And sometimes if someone says something that triggers me or upsets me, I react very quickly. And then I take a step back and I go, hold on a minute. But sometimes, and this has happened to you and me, and it happens to everybody, there are some relationships that we just have to let go. We can still forgive that person, but we don't have any type of relationship with them anymore. We forgave them, we're moving on, but we don't need them in our life because it was too toxic or it wasn't working for us. And we had to say bye-bye.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I became aware of with forgiveness is that it's my energy. And no matter what the other person feels or doesn't feel, it's my energy of letting go. So yeah, like officially forgiveness is forgiving somebody or something. But in reality, it's my internal process of letting something go. No matter if the other person knows it. Like a lot of times you can forgive somebody without telling them. And other times they're already not with us anymore. Perhaps they're in heaven. So, and you can forgive them because you let the energy go. So it's really about us increasing our vibrations and becoming healthier and happier.
Absolutely. That reminds me of what you just said of when we had Marcy on, who's an incredible energy healer. And sometimes when I get in my head about something or about someone, I have to remind myself no one has access to my energy. And it's such a profound statement, I think, personally, because it allows a human to say, hold on a minute, I'm in control of my life, of my vibrations, of my energies. And when you don't allow people or things to have access to it, you really don't allow any negative vibes to literally go into your vessel. Now, can we do it every single day? No, it's very difficult. When you mentioned the driving, I'm sorry if anyone wants to cancel me for this, but South Florida drivers are the worst drivers. Sorry, guys, you are. Grew up between New York and Jamaica. Jamaicans are the craziest, but the best drivers I've ever known. New Yorkers are aggressive. They're pretty good drivers too. California is a little, but South Florida is the worst. And every time I get on the road, I'm like, okay, let's prepare ourselves here because they are horrible drivers. And like you, I'm like, oh, that guy just cut me off. He didn't put his blinker on. I was crashing into him. I've got Oliver in the car. Why? The guy, like you said, they like it. They want you to be upset. And if they turn around, they see you, they're laughing. They're so happy. Oh, I got another one who got angry with my crazy driving. So I'm trying to do that too. Just be like, okay, whatever, just let it go. Just breeze on down the street. It's not easy. We have to really look within ourselves and say, okay, I always feel like taking some deep breaths and just kind of releasing. Sometimes, believe it or not, as simple as it is, helps.
It's tummy breathing, and you breathe in oxygen and you breathe out.
Carbon monoxide.
It was just unbelievable. And it's not totally forgiveness, but it's connected with forgiveness. I listened to a podcast where the host talked about how a dysregulated nervous system decides your path in life. Are you making emotional decisions out of neediness, out of not feeling valuable, out of not feeling loved, out of not being seen or heard? Or do you make life decisions out of a regulated nervous system where you feel peace and balance within? And I realized my parents and their parents and their parents before, they all had deregulated nervous systems. All of them. And perhaps I'm the first generation where I'm aware of the importance of a regulated nervous system. And I'm consciously seeking tools and solutions to regulate my nervous system. Now that I have them and I can regulate my nervous system and I can make smarter life decisions, my life and my life quality is totally different.
The point you brought up about your forefathers and the ancestors, my brother has this theory as well, where depending on where you grew up in the world and what your ancestors suffered, right? Going back generations and generations, whether it was the Holocaust, slavery, World War One, two, three, whatever it is, that has an effect. I believe this on generations at us, for instance. It could be 8, 10 generations ago. Because if you're constantly in survival mode, inherently it's genetically within all of us, I believe. And I think that people are more consciously aware today than maybe say they were even 50, 75, 100 years ago, just because of, the world's evolving. And all we can do is be aware and try to continue to grow and work on ourselves, which is not easy. I had a moment with myself this morning and I got down on myself for a minute and I went, no, we're not doing this one today. And I said, Oliver, let's go out. And we had a really nice walk. It was very humid, but it wasn't really that hot yet. It was about 7:45. Sometimes you just wake up and you're like, meh. I was like, nope, I'm not allowing this even to happen today. Perimenopause will not take over. My fibroid will not even, I, I I've been working hard today to not let anything affect me emotionally, given the challenges of being a woman. And we have to battle as women every single day. Not that men don't have things. I'm sorry, men, and you might disagree with this, but you don't understand what it's like to be a woman. You don't have to worry about menstrual cycles. You don't have to worry about getting pregnant. You don't have to worry about the tenderness in your boobs every month, your hormones, different changes in your body, perimenopause, menopause, night sweats, different mood swings. I'm sorry, but men don't have to go through these things. And, if and when I come back, I will come back as a man. Obviously, Brad Pitt, Idris Elba, that's who I would come back as. But I feel like for men, they don't realize what women really go through and in their life and as their body changes, as they're in different periods and stages of their life. Not that they don't have their own things, but I feel that being a woman is a lot harder and that women don't get enough credit and we don't get enough grace. And I stand by that statement.
In our culture.
In every culture. I feel that in every culture for women.
I'm not familiar with all cultures.
Well, I'm saying I've traveled a lot in my lifetime. I've been all over Europe, lived in the UK, been to Southeast Asia, grew up in Jamaica. I'm basing it on all the places I've been and where cultures that I've immersed myself. And I feel that it's harder being a woman than a man for many reasons. But I'm talking specifically about the emotional and the awareness and the different things that our bodies go through. And the women are built differently than men, and we're more nurturing and we have more empathy and we feel things more and we wear things on our sleeve. And but we're not afraid to share and say, I feel like we're better communicators. Men are like, I'm a man. Yeah. If you ever want to know what a macho man looks like, go down to, like you were just saying, all the Scottish guys are here watching the World Cup in Miami. Go to a basketball game, go to a football game, and go into a room of like testosterone and see what it's like to be around like a group of men and just like one woman there. And you walk in, which happened to me years ago with my ex-boyfriend. I was like, get me out of here. There was so much testosterone in that room during that football game. I ran down the street so fast in Manhattan. I was like, goodbye, taxi, get me.
It's funny. So what's your takeaway of today's topic, forgiveness in relationships?
Be aware of why you're forgiving. Don't allow negative vibes and energies to ever take control of you. No one has access to your energy. I'm stealing Marcy's line. It's so good. And love yourself.
My takeaway is Forgiveness starts with self-awareness.
Period.
Period.
I love it. That's great. Well, everybody, if you're listening, there might be someone you want to forgive right now. So pick up the phone, send a text, drive over to their house if they live close by. And one other thing I want to say, because a friend of mine is going through this right now. She said her dad's in his 90s. Forgive your parents. Nobody lives till 150. I'm in my mind, I think I will. But forgiveness, forgive. We're only here for a blip on the radar screen. So we love you. We hear you. We see you. You can find us on YouTube, Problem Solve Her, no unsolved, play words, ProblemSolvHer.com, and the Chutzpah Girl on TikTok, and Problem Solve Her on IG, also known as Instagram. We love you, everybody.
Love you. And watch the next video above. Bye. Just a quick note before we end. This conversation is for inspiration and empowerment only. It's not medical, mental health, or legal advice. We are not doctors, therapists, or lawyers. Just women sharing real stories and personal truth. Always seek professional guidance for your unique situation.